Strategy and Operations at Zuora. Welcome, Daisy.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. I'm excited you're here. Now, Daisy, you joined Zuora in January 2020, bringing over 20 years of enterprise software experience. You spent the last decade at SAP, most recently serving as Global Vice President of Product for the Collaboration and Communities portfolio. Leading a global cross-functional organization, you are responsible for driving business growth by creating verticalized solutions and enabling marketing and sales through multiple routes to market. Now, thanks for joining me again today. That was a nice bio there.
Thanks. Well, it also helps that we've known each other for a while too.
That does help, indeed. So, Daisy, you actually joined Zuora in January of this year,
Yes.
which is like amazing. And within 2-3 months, a global pandemic hit, like the world changed on you. How was that? Like in ramp up mode, just joining, and then the world changes.
It has been interesting to say the least. So what's ironic is that today is my 9-month.
Wow. Yeah.
Exactly to the day. Yeah. So I don't know if you planned that, but yes. So
Also ridiculous here.
but 7 of those 9 months have been in shelter in place.
Mm-hmm.
So ramping up and getting to understand the culture and norms and things that you would expect has definitely been, I say interesting because I've been pretty fortunate that I have been able to not only myself adjust, but the company has had to also adjust in terms of how we communicate, and so people have been either reaching out, very open, very welcoming. It's very different when you choose to work remotely, because we've all I'm sure have worked remotely here or there. It's another thing when you don't have a choice.
Indeed.
But yeah, it's been so far a fun ride.
Awesome. So actually just lead into this. Can you tell us a little bit about your role actually at Zuora and actually Zuora itself?
Yes. So as you mentioned, I run strategy and operations. So what does that mean? It's really taking the company strategy and directing it into an actionable plan. So some people hear it as translating the strategy to execution, but I mean, it's like working across the business, which has probably helped in my ramp up because talking about super cross-functional role.
Right.
Like my success is measured by how well I can meet with different teams, meet across the business, making sure that we are all focused on the right things, aligning and making sure that we are orchestrating and making sure that through this, right, even more so that we are figuring out new and innovative ways to just make stuff happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. And so in terms of, with Zuora, with the pandemic going on, I mean, what have you guys had to adjust, right? In regards to dealing with the pandemic, in terms of Zuora employee, culture itself.
By the way, I just realized I didn't actually say what Zuora is. So we are a SaaS software company. And if you haven't heard of Zuora, chances are if you have any subscription products or services or anything of that sort, the likelihood is extremely high that whatever product or service you're using is using Zuora to power it. Company was founded about a decade ago by our founder and CEO, Teen Zo. And he had the vision of the world subscribed. And suffice it to say, I think the subscription economy is here. Because let me ask, what's your favorite subscription?
So mine is, I have several. So I have, I'm a big Adobe Creative Cloud guy. So that's one of my big ones. Yeah,
mine's Amazon Prime. I can't imagine my life without it. But there are so many different kinds of products and services, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so what Zuora does is that we help companies launch, build, manage, subscription businesses. And we do that by automating all of their financial processes from order to revenue. So that's what Zuora does. And it's near and dear to my heart. Because I remember the year in which Zuora was founded happened to be, because you brought up I worked at SAP, happened to be when I joined SAP. And that was when it was really perpetual licensed software company. And I was brought on board by one of my former managers, David Meyer. Shout out to you if you're listening. And it was like, hey, we're going to build a SaaS solution. It's a freemium model. Sure, whatever. I'll join. And he's like, I need someone like you with your skill set. That was like the job description. But man, that was a great training ground in terms of just like the mindset shift, how you build, how you market, how you sell. It's totally different. But anyway, just wanted to tie that. But as far as what we're doing at Zuora, for the pandemic, thankfully, we are already a globally distributed company, already have what you would expect in terms of all the different tools that you would need in order for us to have that foundation in terms of making sure that we are still communicating and orchestrating across all the offices.
Yeah.
However, again, there's a difference between choosing to work remotely and forcing it. So in my humble opinion, given the fact that I've only been here for 9 months, one of the things that I've noticed, but very, very good at so far, is having to challenge how often, also the way we communicate, what we communicate, because definitely you can't rely on all the channels that you were necessarily using before.
Right.
And so one of the things that we think about really seriously is making sure that we have a pulse on all of our employees, right? What's going on, listening to what is needed, and making sure that we, are also open to experiment and set up things and, evolve, and because it's just, it's a whole other new normal, and so we've been doing things like having, hey, how can we bring together like 50 of our, leaders and just have more regular, meetings just to come up, just to talk about just general business updates, and also create a community and a forum for people to ask questions and express any kinds of concerns. We've also done what we call Z Insider interviews, just to make sure that people get to know each other, right? And same thing with all hands. So definitely, it's still a work in progress because I think we're all trying to figure it out. But so far, and I can say this with my ramp up, I've been very pleased so far with just how, again, open we are to challenging what we really need and figuring out different ways that we can make that happen.
Yeah, I think it's something that every company's trying to figure out, especially now, with the pandemic, because we've had our lives be so separate, right, and compartmentalized. It's I go to work, right, I drop the kids off at school, and those worlds are so separate. But were they really? And now everything is just merged. We haven't been to be sheltered in place and working from home and so forth. Our worlds have completely merged right now.
Yes. And that's the other thing too, is that it's not just the company that is going through this, but we personally, which is why I think it's really, really important that we not rush to one size fits all kind of solutions.
Yeah.
Because this is now becoming really personal to your specific situation. And so everyone's idea of what works for them is going to be different. And so again, just if the old adage of make sure that you are listening and learning before assuming just has a whole other meaning to me now.
Awesome. And so the same sort of sentiment, but with Zuora's strong support, for empowering its customers and being a thought leader in this subscription economy coined by your CEO team. What's sort of been the impact on the pandemic on that front? Thinking of customers and so forth.
Right. So we're applying the whole listen to not just internally, but externally with our customers. And so we've been proactively reaching out, and luckily for us, we've been in this business for a while. So being thought leaders means that you really understand your businesses because we've gone through it with our customers, as over the last decade or so.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we're monitoring is how are these businesses managing through by, just seeing, like, are their subscriptions going up, and what industries are impacted. And we've been sending out and doing studies and sharing what we call COVID reports, being able to, share that valuable data. And about half, are not really impacted. About another quarter is seeing actually accelerated growth. Another quarter is seeing some impact, but and slow growth, but still growing. And if you take a look at the S&P 500 companies in the last quarter, when the market was negative 10%, subscription businesses, in contrast, was growing at 12%. So just making sure that we are, again, listening, that they're able to use our software to be able to manage, and having that agility, being able to make changes. Let me give you an example, actually. So one of our customers, Fender, manufacturer of guitars, very well known for guitars. They
I have
decided.
a Fender back here, actually.
Yeah, I see that. Well, I'm very good at.
So funny, quick story. It's my dad's Fender bass from the 1970s. So it's like a old classic. Yeah, it's classic Fender.
Wow. That's not only amazing, but how relevant for the story I'm about to share.
Go for it.
So, Fender does offer subscriptions to music lessons. And so they, during the pandemic, they decided to, hey, we're going to, extend our 14-day trial to, 3-month trial. And to be able to make that change very quickly means that you have to have a way to be able to do it quickly. And so they've been, one of the things that we did proactively is making sure we're reaching out to customers just to make sure that, hey, do you need any help? Do you need training, anything like that? And so not only were they able to make that change and offer that, but they also had to make another change because it was so popular that they changed the cap to 100,000 users or their subscribers being able to do this trial, but they were able to go to 1 million. And so making all of those changes, definitely has been helpful to our customers, and that's what we've been doing to help support them.
Yeah, it's funny. You mentioned the report you guys. I've read some of those reports, and it was interesting to kind of see. Yeah, obviously, and it makes sense. There's certain industries like communications, real time, sort of started to thrive during this pandemic.
Accelerate, yes, and also even test the technology itself. And so they've also had to accelerate their own innovation. Yep.
Absolutely. So Daisy, what's next, I guess, on the Zuora roadmap that you can share? Anything interesting that's coming up?
Well, we are going to continue to provide innovations that help, make sure that we are providing the agility, the automation, and the insights that our customers need. So continued investment in the platform so that they can use things like our workflows to customize as they need to. Because innovation is so critical right now because you have to be really, really flexible and be able to adapt. And as history shows, the most adaptable companies are the ones that do well. Also, most recently, we've been announcing partnerships. So Go Cardless is one example. Also, we've been announcing partnerships with our global service integrators. So there's going to be more investment in making sure that those integrations are serving what our customers need.
Awesome. Now, I know one of your favorite topics is future of work, right, and transformation and so forth. So, almost, funny, I do a podcast with an analyst peer from another firm, and one of the questions we always ask is, where do you think we go from here, right? It's almost like a crystal ball, futuristic question, but where do you think we actually go from here as an industry, in regards to work culture, employee experience perspective?
Yeah, this is a good one. this situation is definitely challenging notions of things like onboarding, communication, employee experience, and what's great about one of the side benefits of what's happening right now is the employee experience in the future of work that we've been espousing or discussing over the last decade, just accelerated, right? Because it's no longer a convenient option. It's just, you have to. And so I think we're going to see right now, the technology has had to adjust. But I also believe that we're also going to be seeing changes and challenging our thinking in terms of how we do things like onboarding and ramping and making sure that people feel connected. Because right now people are connecting through mediums like this. But one of the things that you have to think about is, but how you can't just take how we do things face to face, for example, and then just try to apply it to the technologies that we have today. You have to think about, how do you keep people engaged? What kind of different skill sets do we now have to either look for, train, or develop in order to be able to operate in this kind of environment? Where are the gaps in terms of the kinds of processes that we have? And so I think that there's going to be a lot of experimentation. Things are going to be trial by fire. But I actually think that from a technology perspective, definitely advanced. But what's going to be changing is, again, the processes and the current thinking. And that's why we have to ask ourselves, is this really achieving what we need to in terms of engagement? How do you create that community? And what is the missing ingredients from a people, process, and systems? And sometimes there's a lot of focus on the systems part.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the things that I've always thought about, or been my running mantra is that, technology to systems has to come down into the flow of how people actually work. Because if it doesn't come down to the flow, if it's above flow or out of flow, it's going to cause friction. And that's what we've seen with, the lack of technology adoption or bad adoption with technology. When it's top down, it has to be in the flow of how people actually work. And so a lot of what's happened, I guess, with the pandemic and everything is companies realizing that their people is most important.
Yes.
Right? Every technology has to be somewhat solutions oriented and has to be people centric in nature.
Yes. Yes. Oh, completely. And so, and right now we're still trying to figure out how to work in this area. Right. And you've seen a lot of the technologies having to adjust their features and functionality on the fly, or at least close to the fly. Thank goodness, we're in an environment where mostly it's SaaS solutions doing this to actually be able to keep up. But you see how all of those features function are changing. And that's a result of the fact that they're getting the feedback of, maybe these things were kind of annoyances, but now at this point, it's this critical. So, so it's changing the prioritization of things. And so that's why it's definitely going to be a business need, people-centric forcing of the technology versus a little bit of the other way around. I mean, it's not that black and white, but certainly it has a different lens.
No, absolutely. Well, this is a great conversation. For any final thoughts before we wrap here?
Oh gosh, final thoughts. One, this was fun.
It was fun, actually.
It is fun.
Because we're live and anything can happen live, I think my dog barked already at some point, so
my door's open. My daughters are doing a distance learning. So first and foremost, this was fun because it's a break in the schedule.
Yeah.
So this is actually a good example of doing something a little bit different that's not rote, just to kind of switch things up because
absolutely.
Not routine. But final thoughts are, there's a lot going on in the world. Like, just put things in perspective, right? A lot going on in the world, and I can't even list all of them, but there's a lot. And it's easy for us to really, because a lot of it is personal and a lot of it is definitely, definitely impacting people's lives. But I have a lot of faith in humanity, and not to be naive, it's going to take a lot of hard work. But
Indeed.
I also know that if people pull together and work together, we will evolve. I mean, that's how humans are. We evolve. And so
Absolutely.
Just to put things in perspective, that's, if you want to know my final thoughts, what's top of mind, that's mine.
Awesome. No, and actually mine are likewise. We were, again, going through this pandemic, but also going through all these other social issues that we're facing. And the importance has to be put on people,
Yes.
And solving for people, equality and justice for all.
Right. And that's the reason why, because it's personal.
Yeah.
Open your ears, really listen, not just hear, and try to understand people's perspectives.
Multicultural.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Daisy, thanks so much. This has been so much fun. Thanks for joining me. We're going to have you back again because this is great. I love this conversation.
Same here. Again, thanks so much for your show.
And thanks everyone for joining.
Thanks everyone. I almost forgot.
I know, right? People are out there listening. But that's good. Thanks everyone. Hopefully this was intimate and you got a lot out of it. And tune in next time on Inflow TV.
All right. Thanks everyone. Bye.